Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Harakah Kadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, the great most on the rule one, Shalom to all the brothers in like and truth. Saw this little article here. And it's interesting because you've got a push in kind of Europe, mainly since Trump got in. There's been more of a kind of push towards like internet regulation, and then kind of tying those things back, to the actual person saying the things. And it's interesting because it's been escalating more and more. Because why? Because here you have on The Guardian, it says, one mistake and their Germanness is gone. How idea of stripping citizenship for crimes spread across Europe. And yeah, you basically got a push going forward more and more over time, really. A push going forward more and more over time to where, if you do certain behaviors, and in the UK they've kind of had the push with, what was it, Shamima Begum or whatever the fuck her name was, where she's meant to have gone off and joined, ISIS or whatever it was, like way back when, and then she got stripped of her UK citizenship. And I feel like with this push, and then with that as well, it's like, the religious aspect is in the frame. And I can see them pushing it because they're gonna, it'll go from politics, and then you've had kind of like religion time with it as well, and we already know with how the politics of these things is being used, that religion is a thing where they can say like, oh, okay, they'll tar you with a certain brush. And then for brothers especially, because we're dealing with the scriptures, the Bible as well is going to get that focus, and then brothers will get that focus. Because why? They're going to have famine of the word. It's going to get to a point where I'm not going to be able to go out and teach. And then these are one of the things that you kind of see leading up to it. It says, what the plans hatched by Sweden's right-wing government with support of far-right backers made waves around the world. Politicians said they were working to strip citizenship from dual nationals who's been convicted of some crimes that threaten the state. It was a hint of broader conversation taking place in capitals around the world as far-right and nationalist parties steadily gain political ground. And then, the reflection of that is with Trump, where you basically have, men getting deported. And then the discussion since he's got in, he's been pushing, was it birthright as citizenship, where if, your parents come from overseas and then you're born in the country, generally it's been like you're born in the country, you're counted as a, what do you call it? As a Brit? Well, as a national, essentially. So with, you're counted as a national, yeah. So, with these things going, then, and the thing is as well, is like if you're not a national, then you lose certain kind of protections as well. So, and I think that's really where it's going to be pushed. It's going to be pushed to where you don't have certain hedges around you, and then they can ship you off to, was it not Colombia? Honduras, no, El Salvador, wherever the fuck man were getting shipped off to, with no due process, no whatever, and just say, well, just get out. They're talking to Rwanda as well in the UK. They're doing it where deporting men to Rwanda as well. These things are being pushed, to kind of bring in a level of authoritarianism with like legal framework to kind of then just be able to come and bludgeon people with that. Because that's the thing is it will apply in a certain sphere, certain kind of way initially, but then it will ramp up in how it's utilized. Just like with what's the big one? The Patriot Act. Those laws get passed. Certain capabilities are allowed by government. Then over time, it gets to the point where certain capabilities it gets applied, you know, generally. It's not used within a um, particular narrow kind of use. It's just applied generally. It says what the roots of these changes can be traced back partly to the early 2000s when the UK government, led at the time by Tony Blair, began casting citizenship as a privilege rather than a right, said Christian Jopka. And it's funny because you know it's being used as a right wing thing now, but then originally it was a left wing thing, which shows all that right wing left wing don't really mean much in the frame of, you know, getting these laws passed, because it was even with Labour. It was Labour that was pushing for national ID cards, which now are coming out. I believe it's this month, either this month or next month, when it'll be with your driving license, digital driving license, and one other document. I can't remember exactly. But then these things are, you know, are getting pushed, and it's a gradual, slow push where they bring these things in, and then people just kind of have to hold it and eat it. Because the truth of it is is as much as, you know, people think they're ever saying these laws are just getting passed, you know, whether you like it or not. Because what does it say? Socialists. So the UK government posits citizenship as something to be earned, making it harder to obtain and easier to lose. This idea of earned citizenship is that if you do wrong, you should be able to lose it, said Jopka. Recent proposals put forward in countries such as Sweden, Finland, and Germany seemingly take this one step further, he added. The new proposals now suggest that if you do a kind of serious crime, that should allow for the possibility to withdraw citizenship. That's quite new, yeah. So it's you know, the T era is really where it's gonna kind of go, and things getting put into that kind of box. Because what is it? It's domestic T era. That's really where you've had a lot of behaviors kind of get put. That's the box they're using to kind of broadly allow essentially a suspension of rights. Because you had really from 2001, from the Patriot Act, that's essentially been a suspension of rights in like the US, and then even, you know, in the UK, you basically use like, oh, it's such a dire threat, you know, there's such a risk of so much danger that then you have to basically hold it. Must be. Oh wow, that's fucking funny. Interesting. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of new framework. The thing is these things are being built out. It's being fleshed out. It's basically to give legal framework, to give certain justifications, you know, down the line, where they then can just be like, okay, yeah, look, um, we're gonna cook you. You know, they're just gonna, it's gonna get pushed to that. You're just gonna have like, okay, we got the framework here, the means by which you know, we can cook you. Um, Certain behaviors you do, then they can just be like, okay, we put it in this box, and then you know, you get thrown in jail, you get deported, you get whatever, or you lose certain rights within the country, and then they can just grab you up, do whatever the hell they want. Uh, And it's funny, what does it say? So it says, the Dutch government said it was exploring the possibility of revoking citizenship for serious crimes that have an anti-Semitic aspect. So it's, you know, you see the region, the range, they're kind of pushing this thing in, where, you know, you say certain things, you do certain things, then they'll just be like, okay, yeah. So it said, a proposal swiftly criticized, with one political commentator pointing out that it would result in some being Germans on probation for their entire lives. They can never truly be German. One mistake, one crime, and their Germanness is gone. And yeah, that's how precarious it is. Because kind of like with these these things being pushed, it's essentially building the framework for the new world order, where the current means and understanding of how people live and can maneuver presently, all that's going to go in the bin. All that's gonna be washed. None of that's gonna maintain in the long term. People will think it's gonna maintain going forward, but then the reality of it will just be the whole new systems come in. And then people will say, and the thing is they'll say, oh, well, if you're not saying XYZ online, you shouldn't be upset. Or if XYZ, then, it's not going to apply to you. But then the reality of it is it will be applied broadly. Because the thing with, what do you call it? What was it? The Patriot Act, where it was meant to be, oh, if you've got nothing to hide, then, you shouldn't have a problem with the government getting into it. And that led up to what, NSA doing their thing, and then what was it? What the fuck is it called? The Edward Snowden leaks of how like everyone was getting spied on, blah blah blah, which people were upset about. But then that's as far as for these powers, once they're set up, once they're being utilized, they're gonna be they're gonna be used. They're not being put there just to be like, oh, it's just it's just an emergency for safety. That's the justification. But then down the line, was it culminating? Basically becoming a part of that new world order system. Same thing with crypto, where you had initially it was it's rebelling against the government. It's going off the grid. Even though you think about the core of crypto is the blockchain, which is basically every transaction that can be tracked and verified independently. It's a system that you can just kind of have out there that makes tracking and tracing any movement of currency possible. And then on top of that, what do you have? Checking and tracing any crypto possible. But now you have, once Trump comes in, the government, Elon, etc., feeding into it. Where it seemed like, for a period of time, it was, what do you call it? It seemed like for a period of time, it wasn't actually of mainstream or going to be utilized, but now it's like what, CBDC. All these things are, it's introduced, and then through the process of time, how it's going to slot into the new system gets put together, man. And legal frameworks are a big part of that. That's a big part of how they're pushing these things. I'll read this. Revelation 12:12. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Yeah. So complete reduction of your rights and what you're allowed to do. That's a standard. That's going to be normal as fuck. And people are just going to have to hold it, man. And that's the thing is they will. Whether they like it or not, they're going to realize over time, like, oh, okay, actually, I don't really have a say. I don't really have anything to kind of put in here. Which is funny as fuck. But yeah, the EU is where it's getting pushed. We'll kind of see, because the form it takes in the States is probably going to be more based on, illegal immigrants, kind of at that angle. But then they can, it's going to be expanded. It's going to be utilized far more. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom.